Good afternoon, everyone. I am Greg Gilligan. I'm the Vice President of Operations at RVA 757 Connects. Thank you for joining us this afternoon for one of our latest RVA 757 Connects Virtual Innovation Spotlight webinar series. This afternoon, we'll learn a lot more about how Startup World Tour regional competition took a place in Virginia for 2 years in a row. It's a fascinating story and information, so we'll learn more about that. But before we start, let me just give you a couple of housekeeping matters. Um, First off, I'll introduce our sponsor for this month's webinar. Then I'll update you on RVA 757 Connects, what we're doing, and a little bit about our Convergence conference in less than 2 weeks. Then we'll delve into today's topic about Startup World Cup, and we'll leave some time for questions at the very end from you all. By the way, we record all of our webinars. This recording will be available sometime this afternoon on our website. So if you want to go back and listen to it again, or if you want to share it with others, please do so. If you have any questions during the presentation, please save them for the very end, and then send me a chat function for the questions, and we'll deal with it there. RVA 757 Connects is a nonprofit organization, so we rely on donations. Here are our list of our corporate sponsors. We appreciate their support. And one of our supporters of our Global Internet Hub initiative is Virginia Beach and the Virginia Beach Economic Development Department and the city's IT department. For a good reason, they are today's sponsor because 3 subsea cables, internet cables, come ashore in Virginia Beach, and more are on the way, which solidifies the Hampton Roads region, and particularly Virginia Beach, as a vital internet gateway connecting North America to the data network across the world. To tell us more about Virginia Beach in the Economic Development Department is Natalie Gilmuse. She's the department's deputy director. She's been in that post since October of last year. And before that, she served as the town of Vienna's first economic development director. And she was there since 2019. Natalie serves on our Global Internet Hub committee. So Natalie, I'm going to turn it over to you and let you talk a little bit about what's happening. I'll stop sharing the screen so you can tell us more about all the innovation that's taking place in Virginia Beach.
Thank you, Greg. Appreciate it very, very much. And actually, for today's discussion, I'm going to focus on a very special, I would say, secret sauce of the Virginia Beach Economic Development Department, which is the Hive. All right. Let me know if you can see my screen.
And when you want to put it on, yeah, there we go. Thanks.
Perfect. So good afternoon again, and thank you so much, Greg, for the intro. I'm Natalie Gilmuse, Deputy Director in the Economic Development Department for the City of Virginia Beach, and we're honored to be a sponsor today for the webinar. And actually, part of the reason why we're here is because we were also a sponsor for the Startup World Cup Virginia Regional Competition this past August, and I want to shout out my partners in crime, I will say, Tim Ryan and Zach Miller, for the opportunity to partner with them on that great initiative. And I know when you think about startups and regional competitions, sometimes you can think about Silicon Valley or Seattle or Singapore, but this summer and the global stage that partnership offered us in Virginia Beach for the second year in a row was a huge win for us. And it's a huge win for the Commonwealth of Virginia. And the city actually had 4 finalists in the Startup World Cup competition. And I think it's a true testament to where we're going to support the startup ecosystem in Virginia Beach. So just a few things about us. One is that Hive is one of the initiatives of the City of Virginia Beach, also brought to us by our council. And it's supposed to be a small business and startup resource center. It's a place really where we promote that innovative entrepreneurship ecosystem. And it's where if you're a dreamer or a small business owner or just early stage businesses, you can come to grow, you can scale, and you can connect with other businesses. What we do there is we offer workshops, events, and activities. We even have a partnership with a local university where we offer free or low cost professional development courses, and you can get micro-credentialed. Just so you know where the Hive kind of fits into that role of the Economic Development Department, I also wanted to show you that it's really incredibly embedded in economic development overall. My role within the Deputy Director portfolio is really about bringing businesses into the city of Virginia Beach, as well as retaining them, marketing the city, and then, of course, the Hive as that business resource center. So it is embedded as part of city government. At the Hive, if you come today, we have a few team members that are there. One is that my role, although it's overseeing a big portion of the City of Economic Development team, we also have contracted staff as well as support from our finance SWAM, Small Women and Minority Owned Business Department, which oftentimes businesses want to do business with the city, and they're a great resource partner and are at the Hive as well, supported, as well as other partners, but this is our core team that's there at this time. So since July of 2024, the Hive really has been hosting around 257 workshops. I just wanted to give you a flavor of really the past, if I had a full fiscal year, what we've been doing, and been able to draw a number of attendants, as well as we focus on grants, and we've been able to award 17 small businesses over the last year, with more than 144,000 total of that grant award from our Virginia Beach Development Authority. And I think that these numbers just really reflect some of that real impact and the growing momentum at the Hive. In addition to that, what the Hive does is offer a wide range of services. So we have access to capital, we have marketing support, even help with government contracting or product development. We're really focused on also supporting underrepresented entrepreneurs, high growth startups, and we have key industry areas that also focus on what the region is talking about. So if you're in defense, cyber, renewable energy, tech, we'd love to hear from you and see you also at the Hive. And our programming there includes everything from expert office hours, or sometimes we partner with the right people to do pitch competitions and founder roundtables. We have a few actually coming up tonight. So just to give you a flavor of what's going on in November, I want you to be able to access all the services and events. And if you use this QR code, you can actually go straight to our Eventbrite and you can see what's coming up soon. And actually, we're located in a great place. So we're in the heart of Town Center, the Hive, at 140 Independence Boulevard. And our doors are open to all entrepreneurs, and our events are really designed so that you can meet and greet, but also learn something for your business, whether you're scaling really fast or just starting out. Again, just so you can see, we have a pretty full calendar each month, and we continue to customize and add new events each day. But this will provide you just a select view of upcoming events at the Hive. And we're continuing to build out our partnerships. And you can see some of those that I've listed here. These are just a few of those sessions. They're opportunities to really build community, share knowledge, really grow together. And you can see a lot of the partners that we also have been working with. They all range here in having access to our SWAM team, as well as understanding just contract basics, everything from coding, and also just small business searches for getting contracts with the federal government, all powered by our partnerships at the Hive. Okay, sorry, my screen is a little frozen here. So this is my final slide, which is really just about how our impact is really amplified by our partners. And we work with both core program partners, which I would say are that long-term relationship where we have workshops that happen concurrently every month or for 6 to 8 months. And we have our partners that are generally in the public sector that work with us at the Hive, but we also collaborate on the private sector too. And I call those community collaborators. We're always looking to expand our network and work with organizations that share our vision for just supporting that inclusive startup ecosystem. So if you're representing an organization that would like to partner with us, you can use this QR code as well to fill out our partner form. You submit a program idea or suggestion, and it comes right to our team for review. I just want to thank you again for allowing me to have a moment to talk to you about the Hive and the Virginia Beach Economic Development Department. Again, this is just one section of the work that we do to really support that ecosystem and growth of Virginia Beach. But Virginia Beach is really proud to be a launch pad for innovation. And one of those ways was in hosting that Startup World Cup regional with our partners. And we're continuing to step out onto the global stage. And that Hive location is just another way for us to support founders every step of the way. So I just want to thank again RVA 757 Connects for the opportunity to share our story.
Great. Thanks so much, Natalie. I appreciate it. That's fascinating information and sure, helpful and useful information with that. And also, Natalie, thank you for your support and Virginia Beach's support on our Global Internet Hub committee, and you're on the committee, so thank you again for all of that. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Welcome.
Now let me tell you all a little bit about, went the wrong way. A little bit about RVA 757 Connect. We are a nonprofit organization whose mission is to improve the economic success of those in the Metro Richmond area, as well as, which we call RVA, as well as Hampton Roads, called 757. We are a coalition of top leaders and representing businesses, higher education, and various organizations. And we're following a national model where nearby localities collaborate on initiatives that advance both regions. And we are advancing the mega region from the Metro Richmond to Hampton Roads as the I-64 Innovation Corridor. As you can see, we're pursuing several different priorities. Let me just note a couple of them. First off, we're helping the I-64 Innovation Corridor become a global internet hub, and more on that a little bit later. And we're also advocating for multi-use trails, such as the Trail 757 in the Hampton Roads region, the Fall Line Trail in the Richmond region, and the Virginia Capitol Trail between Richmond and Jamestown, and also the extension of that trail from Jamestown now to Williamsburg. They're working on that as we speak. As you can read more about our various initiatives and priorities on our website at RVA 757 Connects. And one of our priorities is to encourage collaboration and showcase innovation. We're doing that in a couple of ways. One of those is hosting these innovation spotlight webinars. The one that we're sponsoring for next month, which will be on Wednesday, December the 3rd, will be on Cupron. Cupron is a copper-based innovation company which first gained some notoriety back in 2010 because of socks. You'll have to find out why socks. But the Henrico County-based company developed a patent manufacturing method to infuse copper into textiles such as socks and shirts and medical gowns and sheets, as well as hard surfaces such as countertops. Cupron shifted its focus in recent years to a revolutionary new liquid micro copper platform. That change has given the companies a warm reception from the global chemical firms, some of its partners. And the company CEO will tell us more about all that next month on Wednesday, December the 3rd from noon to 1 o'clock. Another way we showcase innovation is important initiatives, is the successes are at our annual Convergence Conference. This year's conference, attendees will get insights on how the I-64 Innovation Corridor is where the world not only stores, empowers, and secures data. You'll discover why the I-64 Innovation Corridor is the forefront of technological advancement and economic growth. The conference will feature these three key sessions. One is on evolving the energy landscape, and we're going to be talking about things like fusion energy, which is plans for a plant in Chesterfield County, for instance, offshore wind off the shore of Virginia Beach. We'll also be talking, having a session about understanding digital infrastructure in the Virginia and beyond. And then the third session will be building a cyber-ready mega region that we have here in the Richmond area, in Hampton Roads. Also, our keynote speaker will be Paul Soul. He's the CEO of the Florida Tech Corridor, which is in a mega region in Florida. He will bring his unique perspective on regional collaboration and innovation ecosystems by drawing from his experience leading a dynamic tech corridor. He'll share his insights on how partnerships across academia and government can accelerate growth. Convergence will be held on Tuesday, November 18th at the William & Mary Alumni House in Williamsburg. Convergence is our annual day-long interregional gathering of representatives from the Richmond and Hampton Roads regions. It's sponsored by RVA 757 Connects, Chamber RVA, as well as the Hampton Roads Chamber. You can get more details by going to our website, go to RVA 757 Connects, and click on the Convergence tab or use this particular link there. Putting on a conference like Convergence, we get a lot of financial support from sponsors, and we want to be able to thank our sponsors for their support for this. Our top priority is becoming the world's next global internet hub, and that's what we're trying to get designated for the I-64 Innovation Corridor. This bold plan is to harness a once-in-a-generation opportunity to transform the future of the Richmond region and Hampton Roads. When you view the Richmond area and Hampton Roads together, combined, we have the core digital infrastructure in place to become a global internet hub. This 2-foot by 3-foot map explains visually how the I-64 Innovation Corridor becomes a global internet hub. Our mega region has subsea cables that come ashore in Virginia Beach, and more are on the way. We have robust local and intercity terrestrial networks. We have the digital network rings. We have an internet exchange, and we have data centers of all types and sizes, and more of those are on the way. If you'd like to get a copy of this map, please let me know. Email me, and we'll send you one out. On the other side of the map of this map brochure explains what a global internet hub is, why it's important, and the strategies we are using to build one of those interconnected digital hubs. Now let's move on to today's topic and the story behind the successful bid for the Startup World Cup regional competition that took place in Virginia. When you think of Startup World Cup regional competitions, you might picture tech capitals like the Silicon Valley, or Seattle, or Paris, or London, or Singapore. But this past summer, Virginia took the global stage with a regional competition held in Virginia Beach for the second year in a row. Startups from across the state took the stage in Virginia Beach to pitch their businesses. The event drew innovations from across Virginia to pitch bold ideas, build connections, and showcase the talent driving the next wave of growth in the Commonwealth. The regional winner went on to represent the state at the grand finale in San Francisco a couple of weeks ago, competing for a $1 million investment prize. Our speakers today will tell us a little bit more about that. But hosting a regional event, as Natalie said, in Virginia Beach was a major win not only for Hampton Roads, but also for the state. How did Hampton Roads land such a spot on the global stage? And what does this mean for the startup ecosystems across the I-64 Innovation Corridor and beyond? Let's hear from our key people that were spearheading this effort. First off, it's Tim Ryan. He's the Executive Director of Innovate Hampton Roads, an organization that's focused on celebrating regional entrepreneurial and innovation through storytelling. Under the Innovate Hampton Roads umbrella, Tim also serves as Director of Recator, the City of Hampton Technology Innovation Center, and the Program Director for Start Peninsula, which is that region's longest running business validation platform. Next will be Zach Miller. Zach started his first business at the age of 10. I want to hear about that. Since then, he's spent decades helping other people successfully start, grow, and dominate their businesses through his company called Hatch. Before I turn it over to these two gentlemen, let me just remind you, if you have any questions, please use the chat function to ask the questions. We'll have some time at the very end. So Tim and Zach, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you so much. Welcome, everyone. And as introduced, I am Tim Ryan. I'm the Executive Director of Innovate Hampton Roads, and we're going to tell the story about how we were the host of the Startup World Cup. But in order to get there, I would like to take a look back at memory lane and some numbers here: 18, 29, 33, and 70. Some people may wonder what those numbers are. Those were the Norfolk, Virginia Beach, Newport News MSA startup rankings. And that was 2015, 16, 17, and 2023. As you can see, we were going in the wrong direction. We stopped at 2023, not because we were giving up hope on what was happening, but because Kauffman Foundation stopped ranking MSAs. And how could that be? Everybody around the region, we have heard this many, many times. We have everything that we need. 1.8 million people across 17 jurisdictions, 19 military installations with a NASA Research Center and Jefferson Labs. The education footprint is amazing with our colleges and universities. We have lots of federal programs in terms of SBA, SBCD, SBDC, VIPC, Chambers of Commerce. We have all of these things in place. How could we be going in the wrong direction? Not to mention we have our tourism and one of the deepest shipping ports in the world. And the sour taste was we were playing checkers. Everybody else, they were playing chess. And we lost sight of the big picture. So what we were doing is we started competing against everyone else's time, and that caused a lot of confusion. There was conflicts in terms of a calendar, and we're creating dilution amongst the events. The whole idea where the magic happens really is when we can cause a lot of density at one event where people meet one another, and that's where the magic happens. And we were doing the opposite. So how do we solve that challenge? I'd like to introduce to you Innovate Hampton Roads, and that is what we're solving. This is what the reality was. So this is, if you haven't seen this, this was one drawing of what our footprint looked like. And I can't understand it. I don't know if anyone else can. So the whole, how can anyone figure out what they're supposed to do while they're trying to start a business at the same time? So solving the challenge, we needed to understand what that chessboard looked like. And the whole start of everything was a curated calendar. We were just like, what are the events that are taking place within Hampton Roads? And that's where we started listing everything. Today, that still holds true. Innovate757.org/events. And then we list all of the entrepreneurial and business events there. Then we started consolidating the news. So anytime there was a new company, anytime there was a press release, anytime there was opportunities for entrepreneurs and businesses to take advantage of, that's what we would share. We started becoming that storyteller for the region. Today, 757.org, innovate757.org/news. Still do that every day. That QR code at the very first slide, and we'll have it at the very the last slide. We have a newsletter that goes out every Monday. We list the events that are going to take place in the region for the upcoming week. And then on Friday, we cap the news that happened for that current week. And then we became the region storyteller, knowing that we needed to tell that story, one, internally for our region so that we knew what was going on, but then also broadcasting that externally so that the rest of the world could understand all of the innovation, all the entrepreneurial things that were taking place. And then the phone rang. Hello? And that's how Innovate Hampton Roads, Virginia Beach, we joined together for the Startup World Cup. So the interesting thing was they contacted us. That was a cold call. Normally it's us cold calling other people, but they contacted us and said, we've never done anything in Virginia. Would you be willing to host this event? And of course we said yes. So The typical pitch event, Zach, how would you describe it? Yeah, it's
They can be very boring and bland, and it's 10 businesses just getting up there and telling a story, and not really experiential from the crowd perspective. And usually they're talking to, a handful of judges. And yeah, sure, it can be fun and informative and good for the businesses, but this is a community event, and to be able to bring people together, we had to think differently. We had to provide something that would be remembered. And so we went to the drawing board, and just like Stanley here in the office, we looked at the universe and said, what's going on out there? And there was this growing company called the Savannah Bananas that really took an old tradition in baseball and spiced it up and made it one of the hottest experiences on the planet, selling out stadium after stadium by basically playing baseball in a fun, unique way. So how could we take something like that and turn it into a pitch competition? And that's exactly what we did. So first year was at the Zeidler's Theater, which was right across the street from where we hosted this year in Town Center, Virginia Beach. Crowd of about 300 at that event. And
which that was scary within itself. When we first walked in, we were like, this is a pretty big place. We have no event has been of that size before.
Yeah, and I think, a lot of times these pitch competitions are a handful of people in attendance, maybe a couple dozen people. So to try to bring everyone from a state perspective can be a challenge. But let's walk it back a little bit of what the actual event is. Oh yeah, so thinking fun. This is us getting warmed up. We had a DJ on stage introducing everyone to. Everyone had a walk-up song, so think like Flo Rida's "My House" or "Jukebox Hero" for CX Perks. Craziness all around. PIMP was one of them.
Yeah, we really we knew we had to take advantage of this opportunity.
Yeah. It's so 10 Find Virginia's 10 best startups. So there was an application process where companies from all across the Commonwealth would submit their application. We got over
We
100
received over
applications.
120 applications.
Yeah. And from all across the state, and then a group of judges.
Yeah,
those hundreds.
We divided that up just to give you all some clarity. We divided it up into 5 regions, if you will. So we had Hampton Roads, we had Richmond, Northern Virginia, Charlottesville, and then west of Charlottesville to kind of round out all of Virginia to make sure that everybody was represented. And
so the event
Zach.
was 10 4-minute pitches. The judges were hidden in the crowd, and in between each of these pitches, we had an opportunity to do a series of 60-second pitches, which were from the seats where Tim or I would go and hand a microphone to 10 other companies from the state, and they would get to do kind of like a micro pitch of their business. So how can you provide 20 companies an opportunity to get in front of hundreds of people in one night? And that was what we set out to do and achieved.
Yeah, and then to take traffic out of the equation, we had a pre-party at the Hive. You heard about the Hive just a little bit ago. We had over 100 people that were there. It was jam-packed, and then we were able to just walk a few hundred feet into the theater and to kick everything off. And yeah, like Zach said, we had a DJ. We're throwing t-shirts into the crowd. It was very, very high energy and fast paced.
So much so. Oh, yes. Last year's winner, Ivy Watch, Gary Warren, and team did incredible things. He actually, if you guys can see this in this picture, so he has an IV in his arm at this point, but it's the whole thing behind IV watches, they miss the vein. The IV that goes in actually misses the vein. So Gary is giving a pitch for a chance to win $1 million with an IV in his arm incorrectly. It was Tim and I didn't know this until afterwards either, so it's even crazier. So like it's just crazy to see. This is what their product is. They won our qualifier. The qualifier then goes on to San Francisco to for the chance to win $1 million. Lo and behold, Mr. Gary Warren and the Ivy Watch team placed third in the world, an incredible feat for something that wasn't even in Virginia 14 months ago, 15 months
Yeah.
ago. So pretty cool to see that all that could come to fruition.
I mean, you still there?
I am. Is Tim not there?
Tim looks like he's frozen.
Oh boy. Okay. All right. Uh let's get to my slides then. I don't know why that happened. Okay. It says he's still there. Stand by.
He'll log back in.
Is he back or no?
No, I don't see him yet. He
All
hasn't.
right. Well,
He's got to log back in. Do you want to, while we're waiting for him, let me just mention also, you mentioned IV Watch. It's a fascinating company. And we did a webinar on IV Watch in January of 2024. So if you want to go back and learn a little bit more about IV Watch, please take a look at that webinar on our website. It is a fascinating company, that's for sure. Okay, Zach, are you gonna? Those are your slides.
yeah, you see the screen now?
Yeah. Yes.
All right.
Do you want to put on? Yep. There we go.
All right, let's roll with it. So the winner is Ivy Watch, like we just said. So Pegasus is the company that hosts the entire Startup World Cup. They are a venture capital firm based in San Francisco. And so they've hosted this for a handful of years. And like Tim said, they reached out to Innovate saying, hey, we want to do this in Virginia. It's a 1-year contract. So they do the event. And then at the end, there's a report back. And they say, hey, like, you know, this is what we want to do it again, maybe not. They called back and said, hey, you know, this is basically the best event we've ever been to throughout the country. Some of the comments were, in 7 years of traveling the world for this event, this is the best event I've ever attended. I've never seen a group of companies of this quality in one event before tonight. And I've already called back to headquarters and told them this is the standard. So Pegasus had a teammate in attendance, and basically halfway through the show, they've called back to Pegasus saying, this organization's put on the best event we've ever done. We need to be using them as the standard. Pretty cool. So then in January, Innovate gets another call saying, hey, love what you guys did. Would love to do this again. Can we do it? And then Tim has this crazy idea that instead of just using the exact same venue again, let's go across the street and maximize and put as many people in a building as possible. I remember when he told me this, I said, are you sure? And then I told him, are you sure again? And, you know, he came back and said, yes, he was. And so that was pretty cool. So we went from the Ziegler's Theater to the Sandler Center, and it was an incredible time. And this time we had a lot more time to think through that Savannah Bananas aspect of it. So we went even bigger and bolder. We did a video to start the show, kind of introducing people to some of the business community, followed by, in a severance style to many, the marching band came out and did 3 songs of their own. I've never seen so many phones at a business event actually taking pictures of people. Many of the people on the call today, I know, have pictures of that because they've sent them to me. And Tim and I are off to the side, and it was really cool just to really see how can we really show a collection of Virginia in one room and celebrate it in a unique way that's never been done before. We also had the first pitch thrown out by the Norfolk Tides Riptide, which was caught by 2 young ladies one young lady and her sister. An incredible moment. She actually did catch it. Was a little nervous, and she was cheering on her dad, who was a part of one of the company's Attorney Live as well. Tim, jump in whenever you want. He's frozen again. All right.
Yeah,
We also had
the whole thing again was to maximize exposure to the region.
yeah. And again, playing off of
Yeah,
that
t-shirt
Savannah,
cannon.
which highlight of the night, almost broke someone's foot, I heard, but good thing it didn't. And then we had so I was watching the hot dog eating contest on the 4th of July, and I knew we had a local company that was creating a up and coming, pretty popular sparkling water called Crunchy Hydration. And the idea was, hey, how could we take the idea of the hot dog competition and pair it with a local company that has created a can of water? And so it was, how many of these crunchies can you drink in a minute? Absolutely bonkers. It was won by the guy on the far right, who's actually a banker, which is crazy because you wouldn't expect something like that. So it's a lot of fun, high energy event. And overall, the winner was Luminoa from Charlottesville, led by Neil Piper. So he goes on to San Francisco. He unfortunately does not do as well as Gary Warren, but said it was a tremendous event and was extremely blessed and thankful for the opportunity that was provided by the entire state, by Virginia Beach, by Innovate Hampton Roads, that he was able to take his company and show it on a global map. And that's really what I think this is about. Is this event is a showcase and a collection of a lot of businesses and a lot of people in the communities across the state. But how can we bring it all together and then show it to the world at the same time? And it was a very unique experience. And we're very thankful for all the people that were able to come out. And he wins this cup and gets to hold a championship belt for a couple of moments as well. Maybe next year we'll actually get a real championship belt for the winner. Who knows?
Yeah, to recap everything, we really had the same intentions year two as we did year one. Virginia Beach, amazing partners. They were very, very quick to step up and be supportive. But again, as Zach said, it was Virginia's 10 best startups. We featured 7 additional companies. And what we label that as is a seriously fun pitch event. If you want to go to the next slide, Zach. And then we went from 300 to 742 people in attendance. So it seemed to resonate well. And the Hive pre-party, that also doubled to fit over 200 people in the Hive. I mean, we initially, we wanted to do everything with a local flavor. So we ordered, there's a new pizzeria in town that opened up right down the street from City Center and or Town Center. And I've never seen pizza get consumed so fast. We had to like do an emergency order for pizza because everything was consumed so quickly. But we had lots of surprises. The marching band was was an awesome thing. The Riptide, coming out, the t-shirt cannon. I mean, to me, no event is like complete unless you have a t-shirt cannon. But it was a wonderful event. I think that the only thing that keeps me up at night is how do we outdo this year? And for those that aren't aware, I had an investor friend who then he asked me, he went to this event and he was like, hey, can you get me into the Philadelphia one? I probably shouldn't have said that name out loud. Another venue where they were doing a Startup World Cup. And I was sent a picture and he was extremely disappointed. He was like, you guys completely rocked the house. It was electric what you all did. This place did not even come close to stepping up to what you all did. The companies were amazing. The environment was amazing. Everything was just really, really well done. So I share that with you all, not to throw shade on another location, but the fact that we have arrived as as
Fair.
a startup location. And we need to believe in ourselves and really walk with some swagger, because we were able to showcase things that no other locality could. It was great. Juan Pablo from the state came down, and I think that he was quoted as saying, "You all are crazy," in the best way possible. He had no idea that there was this level of energy, that there was this quality of companies, that we could do the things that we were able to do. So this is just all a testament. Zach and I, we just put forth a lot of effort to make sure that we could showcase the founders in the best way possible. And really, really, really thankful for Virginia Beach
And
for the
I had so
support
many
they had.
messages, and I had so many messages and comments from people that didn't know a lot about these businesses or anything. And so for them to have been able to see, a couple dozen in one night plus 742 people in attendance, it is that showcase that really brings together a region as an impact moment. And I just think it's incredibly important to have those moments and to go into an event like this with just an open mind, because you never know what could happen. You never know what company you could learn about, and you don't know who you're going to sit next to. And it's pretty cool to see and to look back, and looking forward to maybe another one.
Yeah, and the overall, I mean, the thing is that with goals, it is our goal to create a unicorn on each of the 7 cities within Hampton Roads. For those that aren't aware, a unicorn is a $1 billion company. People think that's crazy, but if you look at, we have SVT Robotics in Norfolk, IV Watch in Newport News, Psionic in Hampton, Drone Up in Virginia Beach. I mean, we're halfway there. No, and we are continuing to showcase the companies that we have, knowing that one IPO will completely change this region. If we miss on the other ones and they end up being 800 million, I think that we'll be okay with that. But we do all this for the founders to put us laser focused on it. It's a long-term approach, and we need everyone's help to support. So we hope to see you all at our next events. We really have a ton of momentum on our side, and it's really, really exciting.
Wow, great guys. That was really good.
We can turn it over to questions.
Yeah, definitely. The my top. I have a couple quick questions before we turn it over to anyone in the audience. But so there were first off, the big question is, have you heard about next year yet? Will there be one next year?
Stay tuned.
We won't hear until probably January. Each agreement being 1 year, we'll typically hear something in January.
Okay, so fingers crossed. Okay, and second question: so if you can, you said there were 10 companies or startups that were in this past August competition. Can you just tell me whether you want to rattle off all the companies or just where were they from? Were they Northern Virginia? Were they Southside Virginia? Were they the Roanoke area? Were they all in the Hampton Roads? Where were they? Where were they from?
Yeah, we made sure that all regions were represented. So and I can see Zach is pulling up that information right now. But yeah, we did have 4 companies from Hampton Roads. We had a couple companies from Richmond. We had a couple companies from Charlottesville. One technically from Northern Virginia. But we wanted to make sure that this was truly a statewide event, to make sure that we can showcase the depth and breadth of the companies. And the one thing to add too that really made this very difficult was the fact that this was not an idea stage competition. Like this, a really interesting story is like year 1, we invited someone and they were like, "Oh, we're beyond that stage." And we're like, "No, man, I'm telling you, you really should consider participating." And then when they found out that they were competing against IV Watch, Drone Up, and then they're like, "Oh, I didn't know that I was against these companies. There's no way I can win." And it was just like, well, we told you, this is a serious competition, that you're competing against Silicon Valley, and that you are going to have generated multiple millions of dollars in capital from venture.
One thing too that I think is unique is while AI and the robots are such the big talk of kind of the world and the universe, not all these companies were AI focused. Only a handful of them were. So that was, there are still some companies out there that are building hardware. A lot of hardware companies, a lot of medical, like the one beverage company that we talked about. So it was a unique and diverse kind of portfolio of businesses all across the state, from Charlottesville to the western part, to Hampton Roads, to Richmond, to Northern Virginia. I mean, it was difficult. It was difficult to see the finalists, to whittle it down from 120 or 130 of the applications down, and then to see them that final night. I mean, is no one really knew who was going to win going in.
And did you two, were you the people that, were you two the ones who whittled down that 120 or 130 list down to the 10? Or did you have a committee or a judging?
We did the initial, just really from the stage standpoint, knowing that if we wanted it, knowing what the companies needed to look like in order to truly compete at the global stage, we did the initial, but we had a committee, if you will, a panel to make those final decisions.
And so, Zach, do you have the list, or can you rattle off who the companies were in Hampton Roads and Richmond?
Okay, so Vroom Brick, Surgical ED, Surgical Ed VR, Salesy, NGZ AI, Luminoa, that's the winner, EdLogix, Crunchy Hydration, Avant Genomics, and Attorney Live, and Ara Platforms. And we've already seen these. So last year, I think the companies that participated went on to raise about $26 million or more. And we've already heard about some of these companies that have already raised hundreds of thousands, if not millions, since then too. So it was a really good opportunity for these companies to get in front of people who they never knew, and multiple times in one night.
So do you think that there were angel funders or other investors at your pitch competition? Because I guess the idea is that you're providing that visibility for a funding perspective, and how important is something like this for that?
Yeah, well, every judge was a check writer, so we knew that. Several of the companies had some sort of funding from VIPC, so at least 5 that I can think of, and then several, I can't think of the exact number of investors, were also in the crowd. One Tim mentioned a little bit earlier, but Tim, who there was
Yeah,
a
year one, our
strong
goal was to
showing.
have 100. Year one was to have 100 founders, 100 support people, and 100 investors. So we want to really, really maximize the number of investors that we have.
So tell me, guys, what can we do as a mega region, as a state, to help out these startup businesses to have a better shot to succeed? I mean, what kind of things do we need to be doing? I mean, one thing is the Hatch, for instance, and you guys innovate Hampton Roads. There's things up here, in the Richmond area, like Lighthouse, used to be called Lighthouse Labs, and Startup Virginia. But what can we be doing? What should we be doing?
I think a long time ago, I heard this quote from last year's winner, Gary Warren. And he said the biggest challenge
I think one, take the meeting.
Me or you, Tim? You
You.
good? Okay. Gary said one of the biggest challenges in the region is access, getting access to anything. And he said, I had to go to Minnesota to get access for my product to finally start getting some of this, some traction. He goes on to get third in the world. And that was really interesting to me, that someone who was deemed so successful in the region years ago saw the biggest hole was people who can provide an open door, people who can provide access, people who can provide maybe a check or an introduction, weren't always willing to do that. And he had to go somewhere else. Now, fast forward a decade, I think that's changed a lot. But like access, like if you have something that someone needs, provide them a couple of minutes to figure out what that is, and try to dig deep to give that to them, because they could be 3 feet away from that pot of gold, if you will. but if they aren't given that open door, it's not a possibility for them. So I've really used that kind of mindset that Gary said, you know, over a decade ago. And it's just, okay, like if you can provide something that helps these companies, be willing to do it. If it means an introduction, attending an event, writing a check, giving a couple of mentorship hours, whatever it might be from that. If they need your help, be willing to give a little bit, because they could go on to be, as Tim said, one of those unicorns, one of those billion-dollar juggernauts.
And did you have anything you started speaking there for a moment ago?
No, I agree with what Zach said. Is take the meeting. Yeah, they're putting their heart and soul into their business, and if we just urge you to take the meeting and support by attending the events. I mean, the founders, they spell love TIME. So if you can just give them the time, that's what they're looking for.
And dovetailing on that, Amber on the call here has a question. She and sort of similar, but outside of sponsorships, she writes, are there any other ways this community can support your efforts?
Yeah, I mean, starting out, we were just very, very thankful and so fortunate with Virginia Beach to step up and help with this. And we operated everything break even. So knowing that we have the support that we have now, we certainly will. I mean, like for next year, how do we make this say a startup carnival where we can really make this next level type of thing? And that would be amazing.
And I guess, and I don't know if this is even possible, Zach or Tim, but in these startup competitions that you have, the regional one, can you get funding from someone so that the winner could get, let's say, $10,000 or $50,000, or is that not possible with this type of competition?
To be continued. We can't
Ooh.
we can't reveal anything just yet, but we like where your head's at.
Okay, that's good. Well, I just think about, there are startup competitions that take place a lot, and Richmond, a decade or more ago would have them and stuff, and the person who would win would win a little bit of money, which would help, their businesses. Stuff. That's why I ask those questions, and it helps, dovetails to my next question. If you don't even have a dog in the fight, why should I attend? Why should I care? Why should I promote something like this in the future? What does it mean?
I mean, it's just, and that goes back to one unicorn. I mean, like as these companies grow, everybody grows. So you need support services, accounting, legal, to restaurants and hotels. I mean, as they employ more people, the more they need from everyone, and everybody wins. I mean, even long term in terms of building wins as these companies grow, and everyone wins. So that's why everyone should support. Not to mention, everyone has talked about how do we keep our kids here, and a hot new startup, is one way that it's really exciting that will keep the younger talent.
I read something this morning that nationwide, a little bit over half of new businesses, make it to 5 years, and in Virginia, it's just 47.7% of new businesses survive that long. So, how can we make that so that they survive longer? What can we, as a communities, be doing to help that? And Zach, maybe you might want to take that because you've done a lot of this too.
Yeah, I mean, whenever I hear a statistic, I always want to get to the context of it and figure out why that's actually like that, right? So I think to answer this, you really need to get to the core of that. And when it comes to businesses, it's it's understanding why they are succeeding or not doing as well. And I think all the things that we've talked about today, access to capital, next customer, getting a meeting, I think all of those things can help dovetail into more success. And if we're looking the other way, or as a state, we're not trying to do whatever we can to see these companies succeed. I think that we're doing those companies a disservice, right? And so we're constantly wanting to do what we can to help promote, to help have these companies get visibility. I know when we were talking to the 20 or so companies on stage at the World Cup, we told them, like, it's not about winning this competition. We know you guys want to win. We know you're competitive, but use this as an awareness opportunity. And I think a lot of founders are really good at their trade, but they're not necessarily great at selling themselves sometimes, as crazy as that seems. And it's like, hey, like, this is an opportunity for you to get in front of a lot of people. And some companies came real strong with like crowds of 60 people. I know we had 757 Tech Night a couple of weeks ago, and you just see these companies that are rallying behind their teammates. And I think kind of that sports arena analogy where you're really getting into it, that is infectious, right? When you are a part of something and it feels exciting, people want to join that excitement, right? I think there's a something that's like, if you yawn, someone else yawns, right? What's the counter to that, right? What's the excitement side of that? How can we do that for businesses? And the more excitement that we can get behind them, and it doesn't have to be dollars too. It could be just, hey, you saw it, they posted something on LinkedIn. Why don't you like it or share the post or give a little comment on it? Do a little investigation. Maybe you know someone who could impact that company. And so provide that opportunity, that access to those individuals goes a lot further than you think, and you don't have to spend any money on it. Maybe a little bit of time, but it goes a long way.
Good. Well, thank you guys. I appreciate it. Let's just wrap things up here and talk about what's happening next. As I mentioned, if you want to learn more about our initiatives and what we're doing, that's our website. Our initiatives are top and center on our website, rva757connects.com. Also remember, sometime this afternoon, this webinar will be posted on our website, the recording of it, I should say. So go back and you can listen to it and or forward that on to other people that you think should be interested in knowing more about what's happening in the mega region from Metro Richmond all the way to Hampton Roads. And if you're interested, you can go back and look at any of our webinars from February of 2022. We've been doing monthly webinars. And as I mentioned, in January of 2024, that's when the IV Watch, which was the last year's winner of this regional competition, you can go back and listen to that, learn more about what IV Watch is. It's a fascinating company based there in Newport News. And remember, next month on Wednesday, December the 3rd at noon, we will have our next webinar on Cupron, which is bringing copper to life through innovation. So it should be a fascinating discussion. And again, thank you both to Tim and to Zach for your presentation this afternoon. We really do appreciate it. Thank you for your insight and information about startup, the World Cup, Startup World Cup. And also, thank you, Natalie and Virginia Beach, for your support and sponsorship of this webinar as well. And thank you to all of you for joining us today. Thank you for your support of RVA 757 Connects, and hope to see you next month on Wednesday, December the 3rd. Have a great afternoon, and we will see you next month, hopefully.
Thank you very much.